Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you're joining, whether it's today or another day, it's so good to be with you. Um, I'd like to talk a little bit today about something called perspective taking. Um, there were two people in particular this week who got me thinking about this, and they're from different walks of life. So I thought it was interesting that there were a couple of similarities. The first one is a woman that I follow. As you know, some of you know, or some of you might know, I've written a children's book, and I've always written. I like to journal and write little stories and snippets. And this woman, her name is Allie Fallon. She came on to a video on Instagram, and she gave a lighthearted apology, I guess you could think of it that way, where she reached out to her followers and she said that she used to give aspiring writers some advice before they had kids. And that was to just be disciplined and to prioritize their time. And then she had two kids. And from the perspective of being a parent, she admits that she didn't have discipline back then. She just didn't have kids. And that maybe what people need instead is more support, more compassion, more self care and kindness. And then she ended by saying, and maybe more childcare. And I just thought it was a beautiful way to address a shift in perspective that she had had in a fun, lighthearted way. The other person who came to mind when I was thinking about this perspective taking is a person by the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him, but he is one of the best players to make it in the NBA, which is the National Basketball Association here in the United States. And his top seeded basketball team, called the Milwaukee Bucks, they lost 4 straight games in the playoffs, even though they were a top seeded basketball team and they were expected to go all the way. And he was asked after that last loss this past week um, by a journalist whether he considered his team's season to be a failure. And he said, after a bit of posturing, there's no failure in sports, there's only steps to success. And he said, some days you're able to be successful, and some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not. And it kind of reminded me of the ebbs and flows of meditation. You know, some days you have a good meditation and you walk away feeling energized, and some days you feel distracted or tired and you think, God, that really sucked. What kind of a meditation was that? That wasn't even a meditation. That was just one big distraction. And that still doesn't mean that you're a failure. So each day that you train your attention, it gets a little bit better. So what I also appreciated about these stories was how one person challenged her own version of reality, so the advice that she had been giving writers, and how the other person, Giannis, challenged someone else's perspective, this idea that losing a few games at the end of the season was a failure. And we have the ability at any moment in our lives to take another's perspective and to look at reality through a different lens in order to deepen our own experience and widen our own experience, or to understand ourselves on a deeper and wider level as we relate to the world. So to help us today play with this idea of perspective, we're going to do a combination of focused awareness or focused attention and an open awareness or open attention practice. And it just as a quick reminder, we've done this before, but a focused attention practice is, or focused attention is just a stable, strong, non-shifting attention. And I think of it like a microscope. So you're going to zoom in on a single point of awareness. And that helps you bring your attention back over and over again to the present moment without a distraction. And then, or no matter what the distraction, not without a distraction, because we have those all the time. The other is the open awareness piece, which is the opposite of a focused attention or focused awareness practice. That type of attention is very flexible and it welcomes everything without any sort of judgment. So if you think about that attention, it's looking instead of, through a microscope, it's looking at things from a wide angle lens. So you're taking everything in around you, whatever thoughts or feelings or emotions, sensations are coming into your field of awareness. And the idea is to practice both of these because when you're focusing your mind, you are present with whatever is happening in a given moment without judgment. And when you open your awareness, then you're able to allow all of these things to come in and to notice them, but not to be distracted by them. So you can, when you do that, you can get to a place of creativity or deep understanding about your mind, and you can really find more of a place of peace. So today we'll start with focused attention. We will build in a mantra practice today, and then we will close with more open awareness and just sitting in silence. And we'll meditate today for about 20 minutes. I will always keep track of the time. And just quickly, I like to mention a couple of essentials with meditation. The first is back to the idea of thoughts. It's okay to have thoughts. It's in the nature of the mind to think, like it is in the eyes to see. So when you notice that you've had a thought, a distraction, whatever it is, simply return your attention to the present moment. The second is don't try too hard to have a certain experience. Just have the one that you're having right here, right now. Let go of any expectations that you have about what this meditation is supposed to be. Just think of it as one of the steps to success, to training your attention and becoming more in touch with yourself and your mind. Always be kind to yourself like a good friend would, and of course, stick with the practice. Even if it gets challenging, returning over and over again helps you build this muscle. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I invite you to move into an upright and seated position, relatively still, and think of it like a relaxed but alert position, a place where you're able to sit comfortably for a bit of time. And as you find your comfortable position, go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or gaze at a point in front of you. And settle into the support beneath you. Allowing yourself to arrive, to be with whatever is showing up for you in this moment. Turning your attention inward, your lens. And begin to take some long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, and out through the nose. It sends a signal to your body that it's okay to relax, that it's safe. There's nowhere to go. Releasing any to-do lists, anything that's to come or that just was. And allow yourself this time. Embodying your full presence. And returning your breath to its natural rhythm and depth, if you haven't done so already. and tuning in to the rise and the fall of the breath. And how it travels through your nostrils, into your lungs and belly, and then out through the nostrils or the mouth. And perhaps checking in with yourself for just a moment, asking yourself the question, how am I? How am I in this moment? And bringing your focused attention now to the body. Noticing the sensations that come and go. Noticing sensations of the body as the breath moves in and as the breath moves out. Noticing your hands. Perhaps the feeling as they rest on your lap or at your sides. And tuning in to the feeling of your feet beneath you. Perhaps grounding into the earth. The feeling of your seat as it rests on the surface of the support beneath you. Noticing any other contact points between you and the surface beneath you. Scanning your body ever so gently, perhaps beginning at the top of the head, noticing any sensations that you feel as you move through the head and the face, to the neck and the shoulders, down through the arms and the hands, the back and the chest, the belly and the low back, down through the hips and the thighs, the knees and the calves, moving into the ankles and the feet. There's no need to evaluate any sensations that you might feel, to create a story or any sort of meaning. Simply focus your attention on any sensations as they arise. If you notice a particular area of the body or areas that are drawing your attention, consider exploring what's going on for you in there, in that particular place. Attention is love. We'll continue doing this for a few moments, and I'll keep track of the time. If you notice your attention has wandered, simply return your focus to the body. Now move your attention to your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. There's no need to control or regulate the breath in any way. Simply notice how the breath feels as it moves in and out of body. Perhaps tuning in to the more subtle sensations of the inhale and the exhale. You might notice fresh air on the inhale, or a warmth on the exhale. Perhaps a loosening of the throat or a tightening of the throat. Notice the pauses between each of the breaths that you take. And if you'd like, you are welcome to introduce a mantra. Today we'll use the mantra Aham Prema. Aham Prema. Aham Prema means I am divine love. And as you inhale, you can silently think or say aloud, Aham. And as you exhale, you might think or say prema, aham, prema. And put your attention on the mantra rather than any meaning. You're welcome to continue repeating the mantra for a few minutes, and I'll keep track of the time. Aham, prema. Aham, prema. Go ahead and release the mantra as we shift into open awareness. Letting your attention now be flexible and open. observing whatever crosses your field of awareness. Perhaps sounds like the sound of my voice, or sensation, a feeling, or a vision. Welcoming everything and resisting nothing. Whatever the sensory object or impulse might be, it's perfect. There's no such thing as a distraction or an imperfection. And as you notice whatever crosses your field of awareness, think of it as a cloud in the sky, simply moving through, simply allowing it to be exactly as it is. Let your awareness expand in all and every direction. As our meditation draws to a close, I invite you to gradually become aware of the environment and the space around you. Gradually tuning in to the subtle sounds, the subtle smells, the feeling of being back in this space, more aware of the body. Perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes, stretching into the space around you. Deepening the breath, and allowing yourself to arrive back into the world of doing. And when you're ready, in your own time, go ahead and open your eyes. Perhaps first with a downward gaze, and then moving up to take in your surroundings once again with fresh eyes. Perhaps noticing anything that might have shifted for you. To close our meditation today, I'd love to share one of my favorite quotes. It's short but potent. It's from Wayne Dyer, and it has to do with perspective. He says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I want to thank all of you today for being with me, whether you tuned in at home or you're tuned in live today. And if you're so inclined to bring your hands to your heart, thumb knuckles against your breastbone, the light in me honors and sees the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'll see you next time.